everybody and welcome. My name is Eric and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to flush your small outboards in different ways. Let's get right to it. As to answer the question as to when you should flush your outboard and how often, I will have to say after every use. Whether you go to the springs that are clean water, the lake and salt water, stuff will build up inside if you don't flush it. I used to just rinse it and flush it whenever I went to the ocean, and that worked fine, but I recently changed the impeller on this 6 horsepower and I noticed there was some little brown crap buildup inside. I mean, it wasn't corroding it or getting in the way, however, it didn't look too good. So I'll say it is good to flush it after every use. So there's gonna be 3 main ways I'm gonna show you guys how to flush the outboard. I'm gonna first show you guys how to use the muffs. See, the majority of the outboards, especially the ones that are 8 horsepower or bigger, usually have some fins at the bottom, which I will show you. The smaller ones, unfortunately, the suction area where it sucks the water is at the bottom of the cavitation plate, so there's no muffs to that. You have to use some buckets, and I will show you a couple that I personally use for different applications. I'll get to that. Okay, so this is my 9.8 Tohatsu outboard. And as you guys can see here below the cavitation plate, you guys kind of see these little fins on the side. There's one here and one on the other side. The majority of the outboards, like I mentioned, the ones that are 8 horsepower or higher, will have a setup like this, where we take, give me 1 second, no, it's gonna be shaky. I will take the muffs, I start to slide it, and it kind of begins to hug the section. See how it hugs it? So whenever I put in the hose right here, it'll start to pump the water. It'll be spilling it, obviously, but you guys will see once I turn on the outboard, it'll start to suck in the water. See, it hugs it really nice surface area. Anyway, let me go and get the hose and get started. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put in the hose in place. Now, as you guys can see, this knob, this end is threaded, so all I gotta do is thread the hose in place. Make it real tight. There we go. I'm gonna change the camera angle to the front so you guys can see when I turn it on. You're gonna see some water spillage. Okay, right now I turn in the hose. You guys can see water is pouring. I went ahead and primed the engine. Let me go ahead and get it started. Got it in neutral. Believe everything is ready. Go ahead and put it in choke. It's on gear. There we go. There we go. As you can see, even though the water is spilling, it's spewing water as it should be. You want to run that about, give or take, maybe 10, 15 minutes. That gets the job done. And that's basically it. That's how you actually flush an engine with the muffs. Now I'm going to show you guys a couple of procedures how to do it using the buckets. That comes up next. Okay, so now I have here 2 buckets, a 30-gallon, I think this is a 20. This is called a Slim Jim bucket. This is a standard trash bucket. I got myself a really tough one. I just put my weight on it when I went to Home Depot, and it holds my weight pretty well, so it will hold my outboard, as you guys can see. But I will show you why I need this one instead of that one. I used to put the 9.8 on this Slim Jim, but now that I have a hydrofoil, unfortunately, it will not fit in there. I would use this one mainly if I had to use a detergent, which once in a while you want to do. That's the reason why I got it. Anyway, let me shut up and show you guys what we need a bucket for this one. This is a 6 horsepower Tohatsu. Many of you are familiar with these. I have talked to quite a few of you already. This one, unlike this outboard that has a fence on the side, it has the suction section at the bottom right here. So there are no ear muffs for this, unfortunately. There's no outboard muffs for this, so you need a bucket. Now there's a couple of ways. You can use a Slim Jim bucket like this if you could, but if you happen to have an outboard stand and you can actually get in a bucket that can fit at the bottom, that'll do as well. So let me get to it. Okay, so the concept of this is pretty simple and straightforward. These are pretty tough, actually. Even though they're made of plastic, they're quite hard, and it holds the weight of the outboard pretty well. As I will show you. I'm gonna just go ahead and drop it. It takes in the bracket. Literally, that is it. And it stays stable, I mean, as long as it's a flat surface. Let me go ahead and put in the gas line, turn it on. You guys can see how it all works. A basic rule of thumb on these, just fill the bucket halfway. That's gonna give you enough coverage for the suction area to suck in water. See, right now the water is covering most of the lower part and the suction part is right here, so that's plenty of space of water covering it. That's rule of thumb. Fill it halfway, you'll be fine. Let me go ahead and get it started. Okay, I believe we are ready to get this one started. There we go. As you guys can see, water is pumping as it should be. Beautiful. That's what we want. Now, let me go ahead and start it off and show you guys what we need to do next. The second reason why you want to be using buckets is if you make it a habit to flush it after every use, you don't really have to worry too much about using a detergent, like a biodegradable detergent like this. They do sell some, I'll put links below, like this, and ones that are specifically made for boat motors. Especially it has got salt dissolvers and all that good stuff. It works well, but you can use a biodegradable detergent or a one specifically made for outboards. You want to do that even though if you flush it all the time and you keep up with it, it is a good idea to use detergent at least, let's say, once or twice a year. If you are a constant user of your outboard, this will make sure that if there's any buildup inside the chambers or the cooling system, it'll dissolve it and get rid of it. Now, let me go ahead and move into the bigger outboard for the bigger bucket so I can show you guys that example. All right, so the concept of this is the same. So since this one, if I want to flush it with some detergent, this big motor, I'm gonna need a bucket. Or if you, this can actually act as a outboard stand, as a pseudo temporary outboard stand. As you guys can see, because they're pretty tough. This is gonna go in with the bracket in place, and there we go. It's in place. That's what I want. Let me go ahead and turn it on and show you guys how it all works. All right, so here we have it. It's pumping water nicely. And this kind of situation, even though you can depend on the muffs, if you have to run detergent through it, you're gonna need a bucket. So pretty simply, you can just eyeball it. Maybe like a quarter of a cup of the detergent goes in place. That's it. Not a whole lot. Now, the beauty of having a bucket is you're not wasting water. The water's being recollected back into the bucket. That's one of the conveniences. It's less messy. You can actually run detergent through it. This is the reason why I like these buckets to get the job done. And that's pretty much it. Now, there's one slight drawback. Do not forget to come back and turn off the engine. There's a big reason why. Water is recirculating, so the heat is going back into the water. You will notice that if you forget it for like 15-20 minutes, the water's gonna get really hot. It's not necessarily going to harm the engine per se, it's going to harm the impeller. The little rubber that's inside that's pushing in the water for the cooling system, if it gets too hot, it'll tend to warp. So just keep in mind, put yourself a timer. In 15 minutes, I'm gonna come back and, shut off the engine. Yeah. And guys, that's pretty much for this video. I hope you guys found this video informative and answered some questions that you guys may have, because I know I have talked to quite a few of you already, and you have raised your concerns regarding how to flush your engine. So you got the muffs, you got buckets. That's pretty much it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.